Jason Weidman with ScanSource. As you can see, we're coming to you today via Zoom video to talk about remote workforce solutions. So today, ScanSource brings together two individuals who have vast technology industry knowledge and expertise to discuss the potential issues and the potential opportunities that are possible during this huge ramp up of the number of people working from home today. So I'd like to introduce Kyle DeWitt, who is Vice President of Technical Services with ScanSource. And he's been with the company for 16 years, has a strong background in the communication technology space, and has served in various leadership positions within our technical services team. I'd like also to introduce Gerry Davis, who is Director of Solutions Engineering, and in 2016, he brought his more than 30 years of IT experience to the ScanSource Intelisys team. So welcome, Kyle and Gerry. This is probably a conversation we usually have in person when we're all together at the headquarters in Greenville, but just like so many others, ScanSource is also operating fully remotely right now. And thanks to technology, we're able to bring this video to our partners, even as we're all working from home. So on that subject, let's just dive right in here and want to talk a little bit about team collaboration and productivity with you guys. So while folks are working from home or remotely from some other location, there are far fewer face-to-face opportunities to collaborate. So what do you guys suggest businesses use to increase the number of those opportunities and ensure that employees are still productive from home?
Well, I guess I'll start. Again, this is Gerry. Just wanted to speak just a little bit about UCaaS type solutions. We have a lot of unified communication providers within our portfolio, and those providers go out and provide the basics in terms of phones and things like that you typically would need in a house when you're teleworking. But also they have other options, like for instance, instant messaging on the back end side to communicate in lots of different mediums. Instant messaging, the ability to even have soft phones sitting here on a desktop like this, so you can literally have the ability to actually make phone calls on your desktop or on your laptop. It also gives you the ability still to integrate with things like Salesforce, Dynamics, things of that nature, so that if you're receiving inbound calls, it can automatically bring up, that customer record, find out who that person is on the other end of the phone, see what interaction they've done with your company, see what they purchased, their purchase history, maybe they've had issues they've recently called in about. So those sort of things are definitely there. And of course, the other thing is doing things like we're doing today, things like web conferencing, the ability to still add that personal touch. Even though we're sitting at the house, we're still able to bring up a web session and bring up a video camera and still be able to see each other back and forth and interact in such a way that it still gives that personal touch. And that's what a lot of people are used to and want to still have, even if they're sitting in their house. They still want to be able to see the other person, see how they react, and see the body language, things of that nature. So that's another great way in which you can still interact with other folks. And of course, then integrating all that together with things like, MS Teams, Microsoft Teams, the ability to go out and see presence and see who's online, see who's not online. Maybe I can contact the person via instant messaging. Maybe it's another method. Maybe it's actually picking up the phone. Are they busy? What's happening in their current state? So again, integrating all that technology together is the other key piece when you talk about collaboration.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning too that this isn't a new technology trend either, right? So businesses have already experienced this kind of digital transformation where the workforce is becoming more and more remote. Obviously, current events has forced our hands into almost 100% remote workforce. So all the things that Gerry just mentioned about UC and productivity and presence and chat, those are all extremely important to have in place so that you can measure the productivity of your workforce and keep engaged with your employees. We for sure take it for granted that we can just step up out of our office or away from our desk and go tap a coworker on the shoulder when you're working out of a headquarters office. But then when you become remote, it's been interesting. I've managed remote workforces for almost my whole career at ScanSource, And I have always been office bound, and now I'm seeing how the other half lives. And it's funny how important it is to me to have engaged meetings with video. We don't have any audio only meetings anymore. Everything requires some video component. Presence is a huge thing for me. Gerry, you mentioned Teams. We use Teams internally. So having presence and the ability to chat and start an ad hoc meeting with a couple of people really helps keep employees included. There's a big inclusion factor, if not accountability. And the other thing I kind of want to mention, just as we're talking about remote workforces, is this is changing the customer experience with ScanSource customers. So not only is it a huge change for us as employees and other organizations that are experiencing something similar, but the experience that our customers have with our teams is now evolving and changing as a result of this. So it's a very simple example, but I manage a call center. So I've got 65 people spread across North America who do pre and post sales support for ScanSource partners. And so we take phone calls all day long. And as you mentioned, Gerry, using soft phones and even hard phones in a remote location that introduces some challenges. And we've had to change the way we interact with our customers to ensure that if we have a blip on the network or we have an audio issue or something along those lines, that we can get back to that customer quickly or get them in touch with another agent that can help them. So again, very specific example, but it's definitely an evolution of our own internal contact center.
Yeah, that's great. And one thing to kind of dovetail off of that subject, what are your guys' thoughts on how this is going to change businesses moving forward? A lot of businesses weren't forced to work remotely before. They might have had a handful of employees that work remotely, like ScanSource has for years. But they didn't have to mobilize thousands of employees at one time working remotely. So that poses a current challenge that we're seeing with a lot of our partners with demand, but also kind of moving forward, looking maybe into even 2021. Do you think a lot of businesses are going to see maybe some benefits out of this and continue to work this way?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's still too early for us to understand what the cost impact is to a business for having a remote workforce. There's a bunch of intangibles. I mean, how you measure time, how you measure productivity. There's workplace safety. There's HR. There's a whole bunch of elements to having a completely remote workforce. But for sure, this is the way business is moving. For sure, distributed workforces are the way to go. And we're not talking just, the old outsourcing model. This is find the best employees no matter where they are geographically.
Sure.
Bring them on board. And so from a business standpoint, we're seeing like headsets, USB webcams, those types of things. Like they're really difficult to find right now. So we're not seeing our partners or our suppliers, we're not seeing a shift away from those technologies. Now, some of those are consumer grade products, but people are definitely making investment. Businesses are making investments in enabling remote workforces. So it's here to stay, whether or not we want to or not.
Sure.
We're just going to have to adapt.
So if there's some silver lining to everything we're going through, maybe this is speeding up that process.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll just add to that, again, from my perspective, my entire team is spread throughout the country. So, remote working is something that we've been doing for a number of years. So it is the new norm for us in a lot of cases. But I will say one of the things that is maybe the new norm as well, but utilizing things like web conferencing and some of the other technologies, we reach out to a lot of the end customers with our sales partners. So I think it's a unique venue that a lot of sales partners of ours on the Intelisys side aren't as used to using video and using conferencing like this in this kind of method. So we can actually combine this and actually go out and do remote whiteboarding sessions, so it's not just, the web conferencing piece itself, but actually going out and integrating with things like whiteboarding and digging into technology, but being that customer facing entity for our sales partners is huge on our side. So giving us the ability to add web conferencing and the other collaboration type tools is huge. And I think is the new norm. I think more and more sales partners are doing this during this time. So it's not just us, but our sales partners, and of course, then their customers as they reach out to their end customers. So I think it's becoming more the new norm.
Well, that's great. And Kyle and Gerry, can't thank you guys enough for sharing your insights about how to make working from home as efficient and productive as possible. And we look forward to having more of these conversations in the near future. To anyone watching today, we want to let you know that ScanSource and Intelisys are not done supporting you. We know a lot of our partners are feeling the strain of the current challenges, and we're right there with you. So if there's anything we can do to support you, please reach out to either your Intelisys channel manager or your ScanSource account executive, or visit scansource.com/go-remote for additional information about our remote workforce solutions, as well as some valuable tips and even some free offers. So thanks for joining us today, and we hope to talk to you very soon. Bye.